Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Boom. Welcome to another edition of DBDS Live. I'm your host, Mel Money, and I'm here with my DBDS brother, personal coach, my brother Carl. How you feeling today, my man?
What's going on, brother Mel? Yo, I'm excited, man, and for another powerful show today. Weather has been great. It's a little warm here in the Carolinas, but not gonna complain.
Absolutely, man. And listen, just for myself, man, I feel relieved, man. You got that good weather down there, but for me, over the past week, I just had to follow up with my primary care physician. By the way, shout out to Dr. Spada. He watches the show sometime. And also I went to him just to make sure that my health is up to par. And I think that's another topic that we should hit later on down the road on how important it is to take care of your temple, because, you know, you want to be as healthy as much as possible for your significant other. Anything you want to add about health, my brother?
You know what? I think that's an awesome conversation. I think we've gotten away from accepting some things that are unacceptable through society. You know, take me as I am type mindset, and there's a lot of health consciousness to it. And like I tell people, I have shifted my whole diet. I eat healthy. I'm in the gym 4 to 5, 6 times a week. You know, and went this morning. I mean, you got to get it in, because we only get one body. We only get one temple. And, you know, who wants to go to start changing once the doctor says you got an issue? It's like a car problem. You know, when your car's messing, you know, your car kind of did something, and you wait till, or like the brakes, you like, oh man, the brakes are a little loose. You hear a little squeak, and then you wait till they grind, and now you got to get the brake pads, the rotors, you got the brake, you got to get everything done because you waited. Who wants to go to the doctor and then he'd be like, look, you bet if you don't start walking, you're gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, it's very serious, and I'm glad you share that, man. And it's very important to take care of that. And to my sisters out there, you know, just make sure you see your gynecologist. And to my brothers out there, you know, make sure you take advantage of your preventive procedures, such as your physical exams, because that's so critical. And not just your physical health, but also your emotional and mental health, which is why you need to get a copy of Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up right now, because this book can actually help you and give you some good advice, not only how to obtain a healthy relationship, but also how to maintain a healthy relationship. Because every healthy relationship starts by looking within, by looking inside, right? That's self-love. Also, I'm pretty excited about our website coming up in a few weeks. DearBrothersDearSisters.com will be up and running, which will be another platform, another outlet that you can just gather your resources, such as your personal relationship courses, your inspirational videos, coaching sessions with my brother Carl, as well as myself, insightful blogs, and so much more. And Carl, you're going to be a part of it. Anything else you want to add?
I'm telling you, the closer we get, the more excited I get about it, man. This is going to be fantastic. You know, he said I'll keep saying it every week. We don't have enough stuff like this, especially for our community, just to really talk about the healthy relationships. There's all the bad stuff out there. There's all the pandering type websites and posters and stuff like that. They go out there, the posters and stuff. We don't need that. We need to have a clear understanding of how to heal from between relationships, and how to go in at 100. You can't be 50 going into a relationship. So this is going to teach them that. I'm definitely going to be doing a video series on healing, putting that out there, you know, just the understanding. If you don't have that, you're going to destroy the next person you're with. But man, this website, I'm telling you, it's going to be Academy Award winning website. Y'all just be ready for it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, brother. And if you truly love and support the message to bring our brothers and sisters together, make sure you go to our YouTube and subscribe to our channel, DBDS Live, where mature conversation still exists. And trust me, it's much needed. So with that being said, today's show is titled, How Do You Get Back in the Game When Someone Fouls You? What are your thoughts on this particular topic, my brother?
Oh man, I'm telling you, is it a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2 file? I tell you, it might, or is it just, is it an intentional file? There's so many different files you can get. It's rough when you hit a wall in a relationship because your partner does something that's just, it's a foul, that's offensive. And how do you communicate to get back in the game? Get your head back in the game and refocus to win at that point in time. So, man, it's definitely, I believe a powerful conversation needs to be had.
Not even that, man. Before we even bring our guests in, I'm just going to shoot this comment up on the screen from this brother. Let's see what he has to say.
He said, eliminate or just cut the one out who caused the foul. All right, Jesse.
Woo! Well said, my brother. And today, listen, we're going to just focus on the minor fouls. We're talking about like disagreements, maybe here and there, disrespectful manner, things like that. We're not going to talk about the technical fouls where someone is constantly cheating on you, or if there's some pattern of physical and emotional abuse. Those are flagrant fouls. All right. And also in the past, we have shows that provide you with some knowledge on what to do and how to get out of those toxic situations. And you'll be able to find those shows on DBDS Live on our YouTube channel. All right. So with that being said, it is time to bring our guest into the studio, man. This brother, man, he's very knowledgeable. He's an author. He's doing this thing. My brother, Eric, welcome back to DBDS Live, my man.
Hey, fellas. How y'all doing? How you feeling?
What's up, Eric?
How's everything, brother?
Man?
Good.
It's good, bro. I didn't recognize you, man, with the Miami shade vice,
Stop
shades,
it.
Man.
This is all medical, brother. All medical.
No doubt.
All medical. Not trying to be cool. All medical.
I love it, brother.
Thank you.
Listen, we got a few guests. We got a few viewers watching the show. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
Okay. Well, my name is Eric Legette, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I am now residing in High Point, North Carolina, but after I get married in August, I'll be living in Virginia. And for 20 years, I ran a program named Fathers with Voices, where we help thousands of men across the country and internationally learn more about the court system and also how to succeed in the court system. So what I have right now that I've been doing is trying to promote my new book, 10 Warning Signs, Is Your Date a Deadbeat or Deadly? And it's a domestic violence prevention book, and it's available on Amazon.com. So if you're single and you're dating, and for all the single dating women, rather, this is a must-have book because it's addressing and it's showing domestic violence from a whole new audience of men that single women need to become more aware of. And I'm just happy to be on the show again. I still follow you guys. I watch your shows whenever I can, and it's a great thing that you're doing because we need these types of dialogue and discussion to learn. Because right now there's so many relationships that are falling apart, and what I admire about you guys is you're trying to teach and you're trying to guide in terms of healthy relationships. As a matter of fact, you guys inspired me so much. I share this with you. I was just texting my fiance and I said to her, you don't have to answer now, but just let me know, what do you need me to do more of? You see what I mean? So these are the types of conversations we try to have with each other, because we know in order to keep the momentum going, we have to check in and see what we need. My famous example to her is, we don't want any small holes in the bag. Okay. And we don't want little strips of water stripping out, because that's when a lot of more outside influences and things like that can come into the relationship, and that's not what we want. So thank you for inviting me on the show again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, brother. I mean,
right.
You're right, man. I mean, these are the conversations we do need to have. And, we're just trying to set the blueprint on how we do communicate with each other. How do we open up that dialogue in order to come to a solution that could benefit not just yourself but your significant other. Because right now it's just a lot of noise out there, and it's not enough people listening to each other. So
Right.
thank you, brother.
You're
Great to
welcome.
have you on.
Anytime.
Yeah, I like that definitely. He just gave me a whole nother show title. Healthy relationship checkups.
Ooh,
Yeah, you have to.
that's
You
already.
have to.
Yeah.
You have to, and that's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to be more consistent, because this woman is my dream come true. I mean, I have, she gave me my first experience in love as far as emotionally. She set that blueprint for me because we had really a deep emotional relationship. And after we ended our relationship in my early to mid 20s, I kept looking for her. I kept looking for that. I kept looking to build emotional relationships with women, and it just never really worked. So I want to do everything I can to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man, in terms of taking care of her, in terms of protecting her, in terms of just knowing that, I'm not falling short in certain areas, because she does it for me. So I have to reciprocate,
Absolutely. And everybody, if you're joining in and you appreciate what we are doing to talk about bringing, the brothers and sisters together to establish healthy relationships, make sure you share this show with everyone else. Make sure you like this show, because we're going to expand and we're going to continue to have these great discussions. Okay. So just to break it down, man, to elaborate on this topic, all relationships have their rough patches. And if you don't have a strong foundation in place, then you are setting yourself up for failure, because the reality is it takes effort and dedication to work on your personal relationship. And if you truly value it, then, you have to understand relationships are not black and white, or your way or her way or the highway to fix issues. It doesn't work that way. There are always going to be gray areas in which you can work it out when there is a problem, and it takes two. Right. But before we get deep in this topic, we have a DBDS Anonymous section where people post their thoughts and their issues, and they look for some constructive criticism or feedback for us to help them along the way. So I'll have my brother Carl read the letter. Take it away, Carl.
DBDS letter. So I'm going through a pretty rough patch in my relationship. I'm sad about losing my partner and friend, but not really sad it's over. In the beginning, we were great, but then the red flags came. And even though I should have ran, I stayed mainly because he's a gorgeous man, the sex was good, and he was consistent with making time for me. We met in 2018, and months later, I found out he had been seeing plenty of girls behind my back, including his son's mother, which he swore he wasn't sleeping with her. We were exclusively dating. He said he was sorry and he would cut them off if we were official, so we became official. A few months later, he lost his job, so now he's unemployed for at least 2 years, living at home with his mom, and I still stayed with him. And I do everything. All throughout the relationship, I have caught him cheating multiple times. He's always said sorry, but still somehow blamed me. His excuse was, I don't listen to him. I'm too strong-minded and too independent, and I don't let him be in control, which isn't true. I am independent, and I am a single mom, and I told him that he needs to be strong enough to handle a woman like me. If he's not strong, then I refuse to be submissive to a weak man. I feel used and abused verbally, mentally, emotionally, and financially. However, we're both willing to try again because we love each other. I offered therapy, but he said, we don't need anyone in our business, and we can fix this ourselves. What can we do to make our relationship work?
Whew. It's a lot to digest, and we appreciate you reaching out, sister. But don't worry, we have some experienced people that can help you. They have the knowledge and the wisdom and help guide you in the right direction. So I'm coming to my brother Eric. I mean, she's reaching out for help. What advice you have for this individual?
Well, I would say first, cheating is a choice, and that if the person feels justified due to their mate's actions to cheat, it's still a choice. In other words, in the relationships that I've been in, intimate relationships, I've always said to women, you don't have to cheat. Just tell me you want somebody else and we'll be done. You understand what I mean? That's how I am. I like to nip things in the bud. It's okay. You find someone better than me, we can move on. Okay. The second part of that is blaming is really a head game. Now that's the game. It's your fault. It's your fault. And sometimes when men, not all men, some men, when they find that they have a good woman, they feel like they can play those head games with them. And that's a head game. And blaming someone for your actions, because you don't have to do it. Okay. You're a grown man. So one of the things that I wrote was when a man loses his job, he will deal with self-esteem issues. And because he feels like you are a good woman by telling you it's your fault, you will stay. So he's dealing with his self-esteem issues, okay, because he lost his job.
Right.
Okay. Again, it's all in the way that you handle something when you're with somebody else. When you're by yourself, you handle it any way you need to handle it. But when you have someone in your life, you got to think about how you're impacting them. And my third thought was his reluctance to go to therapy. Now, when someone says no for help, they're really saying no to you. Automatically. They're saying to you, I'm going to continue doing what I do, and what he's doing is dysfunctional. And a man will only allow you to do what you allow him, what you take. In other words, men will do certain things, and if you accept it, they'll just continue to do it. So my advice would be to let this go, because it has dysfunction written all over it. And I believe that when you truly love someone, you don't keep doing the same thing over and over and over. You understand what I mean? If you knew how badly cheating affects somebody, if you really loved them, you would say sorry the first time, but you wouldn't do it again. And he's doing it over and over and over again, which tells me he's comfortable. Okay, he's comfortable. He doesn't want to go. She's somebody that's familiar to him. Okay, and there are certain things that she brings to the table that he's not getting with the women that he's cheating with. So he comes back home to her. She has to be woman enough to say, that's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
So, that's my spiel on this letter.
Very well said. I mean, and based on, I know the title of the show is What to Do When You Get Fouled. I mean, it sounds like to me, these are flagrant files. These are technical files.
Yeah, these are flagrant files, bro.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to pull up a comment right quick, Carl, before we get your 2 cents on this.
Prayer works a lot, much needed. So with that being said, plus opening your heart and let God heal you. Absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to my brother Roy, aka Hazardous, man. Thank you for tuning in. Carl, what advice you have for this sister?
Like I said, it's so much to this, and I definitely agree with what Eric was saying. Cheating's a choice. I know a lot of people like to take the victim stance and say, well, it's because of this or because of that, and they cheated. My thing is just walk away from the relationship. There's no reason to cheat. Also, cheating is a level of disrespect to you. I don't care who a person is. If they're cheating, and I'm not going to even say if it's a one-time thing, but if they're cheating consistently and they're saying they love you and they want to be with you, they don't love you. They're in lust with you, or what their version of what love is to them, and they're going to continue to do it. They're not going to stop. But I want to go to the end and come back a little bit. You were saying that y'all want to try to work the relationship over again. There is no relationship. There is no relationship. The game is over. I mean, why try to do something again? I mean, unless because you're comfortable, just like Eric was saying, he's comfortable with you. You're comfortable with him because, you brought up You know, he makes time for you. The sex is amazing.
Yeah.
All the stuff. And I tell people all the time, you know, if you're, you know, sex blinds people sometimes to
really
red flags.
Yes.
You know, and that's why during that building of a courtship and friendship time, you know, try to keep that out the way because you may miss red flags. I mean, we're adults, we're grown. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but you can miss some red flags with that. But, you know, but this guy, I mean, months into y'all dating, he's cheating. And then you found out he's cheating again. Then he's cheating with his baby mama. So that's tough. And I want to go somewhere real quick. This is to the women. Sisters, let me tell you something. His baby mama knew he was in a relationship with another woman. Sometimes women, y'all are y'all own worst enemy because you're willing to hurt another sister because you can't have what you used to have.
Yep.
Back to what I'm saying. Yeah. So just keeping it real on that. So here you are talking about your exclusive. He's sorry, gonna cut it out. He don't want to go to counseling. He makes excuses. He don't have a job. I understand we had COVID during part of that time period.
Right.
No man should be without a job ever. If he needs to go work 3 jobs at Domino's, Target, and Walmart, he needs to go work 3 jobs.
Word.
Why would you want to be with a man who's laying up on the sofa in his mama's basement? Why? You can't respect him. And you have a child. You don't want this child to see a man like that around. Right. Because you didn't say whether you have a son or a daughter. You say you're a single mom. But either one, he's not going to set a good example for them. It's time to cut your loss, take the lesson, and move on. Really, because this is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to get any better. He doesn't care. And the person who doesn't want to go to therapy, like Eric said, is just they don't respect you. They don't love you. They don't care about you. Anybody that says they don't want to go to therapy to make a relationship better is already checked out the relationship or is using the relationship as an excuse to not get out of it. And lastly, for you, sister, you come out of this, take some time, get yourself healed, focus on you, focus on your child. Part of that's taking accountability because you chose this guy, but you want to definitely focus on you and get yourself together so that you can attract the right man that you need in your life moving forward and even in your child's life going forward.
Absolutely. Listen, we got a couple of comments, so I'm going to bring up the next one, Carl. There you go.
So it says cheating is not only emotionally disrespectful, but it's also physically disrespectful. A consistent cheater will eventually bring you an STD. I totally agree with that. You literally jeopardize somebody's health cheating every time you go out there. I don't care what you're wearing, strapping up. There's so many different things. You literally I agree with that totally. You're putting somebody's health at risk every single time they go out there. You're playing Russian roulette.
Yes. Special shout out to my sister Janice, man. Yeah, she be killing it. I mean, not only just the STD, but I'll even go further, that those soul ties, that STE, that sexually transmitted energy, that's also devastating as well, right? So that's why you have to be mindful and have that high emotional intelligence of who you're being involved with. Next comment.
From Ann Gala, she said, if I feel heavy just listening to this letter, if this is what they are dealing with, definitely let it go. No relationship is perfect, but if this is this heavy, that's a burden, not love.
Ooh, yeah.
Yep, Angela. Yep, you said it right.
Yeah, I mean, yes, burden. Angela. It is. That's a liability. That's not an investment in a relationship at all. Yes. Right. I'm just gonna come back to you right quick, Eric. I mean, it sounds like her reaching out, and that's great that she's doing. But why do you think some people continue to go back to that dysfunctional fire, that dysfunctional relationship? What are your thoughts on that?
Because they don't want to be single and lonely again. So they just accept whatever.
Gotcha.
And, you know, it's one of the things that I'm glad that my mom taught me is be comfortable being by yourself. You understand? And she taught me that at a very early age. Like I could be by myself and have a ball, you understand, and just enjoy my time, whatever. There are a lot of people I hate to say this, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but Jennifer Lopez, for example, she seems to me to be a person that don't like being alone, because as soon as she gets out of one relationship, 2 or 3 weeks later, you see her with somebody else. That to me, as a man, that's definitely a warning sign, because I have been kind of watching this woman over the past 20 years, and it's like, what's disturbing about it, and it's not, I'm just, I'm nobody, but I'm just saying, for somebody that's on the outside looking in, it's like she don't even give herself time to heal from the last one. I mean, she broke up with Alice Rodriguez, and then 3 weeks later they have photos of her with Ben Affleck. So she just tends to be somebody that don't seem to want to be alone. So what I'm saying is, people got to get comfortable being by themselves. It's okay. Some of my greatest lessons I learned was when I was alone. You understand? That's how I was able to understand that I was in a dysfunctional marriage. Once I was out of the house and was able to think alone, I wasn't going out to clubs. I didn't have different women coming over to my house. I took that time to really think about what happened and why, this marriage was dysfunctional. So to answer your question, I just think the main reason is that people don't want to be alone, and they just don't want to be single anymore. They don't want to be out here looking for somebody anymore.
Very well said, man. And not just single to be alone, just the fear of the unknown, right? They rather continue to sleep with the enemy or sleep with the opponent instead of, like you said, being alone and taking that time to self-reflect. I'm coming to you, Carl, the same question. Why do you think people continue to go back to dysfunctional relationships? Like,
I'm just going to go right what to Eric said and use J-Lo, because I'm just going to piggyback real quick. She keeps going back to the same men. So she's dating the same men in different bodies, and she continues to go back to dysfunction. She is never out. She is circled around to the same men. She'll do this way. Everybody like, oh, she's on her 8th ring. Yeah, but she's been with 4 men. She's gotten two rings from 4 men. So she's literally dating the same type of man in a different body, different complexion, different body, but it's the same type of men. And then she's never literally ever done the work to heal herself, because, like you said, no way you're ready for a relationship 3 weeks after ending a relationship, especially. And she's been with, I think she was with A-Rod for 3 or 4 years.
About 4 years, right?
About 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, so it hadn't been, wasn't no 2 month dating. But I mean, she'll be with Ben Affleck until August or December, and then she'll be back with A-Rod or whoever the other guys are, and Puffy, Peter, with all these people. But I'm just like, she's going down the same road, and again, people like that will do that because they can't be alone. But what they think is love, and I always believe this, there's a lot of people stay in relationships looking for love. But because they've never either really truly seen what real love is or really experienced love, what they're going for and looking for in these relationship hopping things are, I don't even want to use, for lack of word, lust, but it's almost along those lines. It's liking it. I liking this, but it's not love.
Right.
True love doesn't hurt. True love doesn't be disrespectful. True love love builds. And so a lot of people are looking for that, but they don't know really what it is. They just see these memes and some of these low budget coaches and people out here that are throwing stuff out there. I'm trying to keep it together. Sunday, Lord protect me. Out here that are just throwing stuff out here and telling them what love is, and it's not. And that's why they can't be by themselves. And they're just like, oh, I broke up on Monday. I'm dating on Tuesday. I told you, and here's a tidbit, ladies. Well, I say even for guys, stop putting your relationship. You get into a relationship, stop putting that on social media. I'm in a relationship. I
don't understand that.
Because if you're in 4 relationships in 12 months, no dude wants you. No female wants you.
Yeah.
Real talk.
They know, because they're going to look and say something's got to be wrong with you because you done been in 4 relationships in 12 months or 18 months. Because people watch that. Just date privately, not secretly. There's a difference. I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. And before we continue, I'm just going to give my 2 cents to the sister that I wrote in. I just want to give my thoughts. So I agree with both Eric and Carl on this. I mean, my thing is that when you have this off and on technique, it's never a good sign that there's a strong foundation in place, because the core issue has never been solved. And the simple fact that he doesn't want to get a professional involved, to me, is concerning, because I'm afraid that the pattern will continue. And a wise man once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, which goes back to the core issue within your personal relationship. And if you accept his terms without any outside source, as Eric stated, then it's a high probability that the infidelity will continue and his lack of ambition will continue. But also on the flip side, your lack of respect towards him will continue. Your disregard on how to raise your standards will continue. And your lack of feminine energy will continue. Because the reality is, you're saying that you're a strong woman and you prefer a strong man, but I hate to break it to you, but most masculine men don't want a masculine woman. We prefer a feminine woman. One who is soft with a backbone, one who is nurturing, one who is inspirational.
Right.
And the point I just want to hit home is that therapy is needed on both ends. It's not just him, but it's needed with you as well. So my advice, you may not like my advice, but my advice I would suggest is to communicate with him. And you guys may want to just separate that emotional cord, because this is not a healthy relationship. This is a dysfunctional relationship. And but if you decide to not take our advice and continue to go back to that dysfunctional relationship, and if he still decides not to get therapy with you, then you have your answer. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the show, man. This is already a juicy topic. Man, thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you like what we do about bringing our brothers and sisters together, please share this show and follow us. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is, man, how do you get back in the game when someone fouls you? Conflict resolution. So many people think that when there's a problem, it's either my way or the highway, when there's like multiple solutions to solve it, right? So let me size this up here. So certain people who come across rough patches in their relationships have a lack of insight on how to resolve them. And I believe when there's a problem, the first step is to address it and use assertive communication, which is respectful dialogue between you and your significant other, in order to come up with some sort of solution. But listen, it's more than just talk. You also have to be able to listen. These 2 ears right here, you have to be able to listen. So I'm coming to my brother Eric. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, in every relationship, you're gonna have disagreements. People are gonna foul you, and like Brother Carl said, it just depends on is it a personal foul? Is it a flagrant one? A flagrant two? It just depends. But one of the things that I wrote some notes down as far as conflict resolution is something that me and my fiance do. What we try to do is find a solution and say, okay, after we finish talking, we say, have we resolved this problem? Okay. We try not to leave it open. You understand? We want to have a definite solution for it. And then communication is the key for conflict resolution. You have to communicate. You have to get on the same page, and then compliments go a long way. I think adults feel because we're adults, we're too adult to hear a compliment or to give one. A compliment can go a long way, and especially in a relationship and you having conflict. Just the little things, sweetie, that dinner was phenomenal. That was great. When you kind of constantly throwing out that positive energy, you can kind of move away from the conflicts, and the next thing you know, that positivity starts to override the conflicts because you're loving on each other. And so that's how I look at it. Is you know, one thing I had to learn as an adult is, and that's why I know I keep talking about her, but that's why I love her so much, because she is an optimist. I'm pessimistic. You know, I'm that one that sees the bag half empty, and she's the one that sees it half full. I mean, she'll find positivity in anything that happens. I'm learning how to do that. Okay, I'm retraining my mind at the age of 51 how to think like that. You understand? So that's that loving on each other part that people have to really get into, and just focus on what's right about you and not what's wrong about you. You see?
Like this.
I like that, man. Very well said, brother.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, not a problem, brother. I mean, I appreciate your vulnerability, because, you know, to have always state that when you have the right woman by your side, and a special shout out to your fiance.
Thank you.
She's actually an inspiration to your actions. You know, she can help plant that seed in your head as the woman to plant that seed, and it can just grow into something entirely different. That's what having the right woman makes you a better man, and having the right man makes you a better woman, vice versa. All right. So I'm coming to my brother Carl. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Real quick, hey Eric, always talk about it, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna tell you that, bro. You know, you got it. You got a good. Hey, I just keep it real, man. You know, I look forward to having that day, man. To have a queen to talk about all the time. You know, but to have that and do that, man, that's mad love, mad respect, man. Because like I said, it adds to the validity of the relationship, because it's sincere and it's real, and we need to see more of that out there, man. So,
well, I appreciate that, brother Carl. If you just knew our journey, you would understand why I'm like this. Because whenever we get into these conversations, I'm thinking like, well, she kind of does a lot of these things already, and she was my first introduction to love. And the key thing that I got from her at the age of 17 was acceptance. And that is a gift that was given to me at a time in my life where I was just learning how to accept myself, because I had gone through so much bullying and being made fun of because of my skin complexion. And my mom kept telling me, you know, until you accept yourself, no one is going to accept you. And this young teenager with all this energy just accepted everything about me, just like she's doing 30 years later. So I apologize if I keep bringing it up, but it's the mirror when I'm on these shows and thinking about, well, you know, I am pretty lucky. I am. So I'm sorry to cut into your time, brother Carl.
No, you're good, man. I'm gonna be quick on this. To me, and I know Mel, we kind of got off topic a little bit on it, but you know, to me, this is what people need to hear sometimes. Sometimes we get a little off script, and that's fine. But this is what we're about, and you're talking about a healthy relationship, bro. So, but yeah, so just real quick, dealing with conflict resolution. I wrote down 7 steps for effective problem solving. Number one, you got to identify. You got to identify the issues. Be clear about what the problem is. You got to identify the file. Be clear what that file is. Understand each person's interests in that file. Why did you commit that file, and them understanding why you filed them. List possible solutions or options. You know, is it going to be a side ball out, or is it going to be 2 shots in the ball, or is it going to be just 2 shots or 1 shot? What are the options to fix this situation? And you have to evaluate the options. What's best for the team? You know, do we need the 2 shots in the ball, or do we just need to go ahead and take 1 shot and let them have the ball back at that point in time? And in doing that, you're selecting the option. What option is going to work best? Or options. It may be 2. You know, you might have to come up with 2 different options there. Document the agreement. You know, you always see the referees go to the table and they point, you know, foul on 21, 2 shots the ball. That, you know, you got it going on. You need to document the file. it needs to be documented so you guys can be in agreement that you both understand the foul and why it was caused and everything else, and then agree on the contingency so it doesn't happen again and the monitoring of it so you don't have this foul take place again.
Man, whoo, man. We don't want, my brother Carl just broke it down, man. He killed it. But listen, we're not talking about a 2.3 zone or anything like that. We really want you to get into the game, have your head and evaluate the situation. Everything Carl said is right on point. So my thing is that when it starts to get petty between you and your significant other, the whole goal is to de-escalate the situation, right? And this is why I emphasize assertive communication in which you express your feelings in a respectful manner. And I believe that this creates a safe environment. So instead of arguing and beefing, this is more of a collaborative effort in order to get to the heart of the problem, and to be mindful that it's not about what you say, it's how you say it, your tonality, your body language. I'm not talking about rolling your eyes, or I'm not talking about the brother shrugging his shoulders. Body language is also important as well, because that will lower your significant other's defense mechanism. Another gem I just want to share that my wife and I use and other couples have used out there. We have this technique from behavioral science that teaches you to ignore, redirect, and reinforce. So let me explain it. So for example, my sisters, if your man is having a foul attitude, like a foul mood, bad day at work, right? Then simply ignore his mood swings, then move on to the next order of business, like preparing dinner. Maybe you want to discuss something that's positive related to your day or your business or your child's grades or whatsoever. But the thing is that the more that you ignore his mood swings and talk about something positive, that deflates the negative energy by redirecting his energy to something positive. Because listen, energy is contagious. I mean, you ever been in a room and you came in, somebody just looking down and miserable, it'll start to affect your mood if you're around that person long enough. So it's the same thing, opposite effect. Then you want to reinforce that behavior by applying more attention towards nurturing, towards affection, towards a healthy conversation until that negative energy evaporates. Because the reality is that any behavior that is recognized and rewarded will tend to repeat itself. And I have advice. These other people that use this method, it worked extremely well. So, besides Carl's system here, as well as this technique, I'm sure that will keep those arguments and turn it over to solutions to help our brothers and sisters out there. All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue to talk about, listen, man, how do you get back in the game when someone fouls you? This is DBDS. Sit tight. All right, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with author, my brother Eric, my personal coach, DBDS brother Carl, and my name is Mel Money. We just been dropping some gems as always. Before we continue to our next topic, hey Carl, man, I know we decided to promote some self-help books. Do you have a gem that you'd like to share with our audience?
I do. Something that comes up a lot of time. People talk about cheating. As somebody kind of went through that in my marriage, what caused me to end my marriage. There was a good book that I turned out reading, and it's called it's called Side Chickology.
Oh,
About why men and women cheat, understanding, avoiding, recovering from infidelity. Pastor Keith A. Battle wrote the book. It's very powerful, very poignant, and it covers all the aspects of why people cheat, and and even talks about it's a choice in there, but there's a lot of preventive maintenance stuff in there to help you to kind of cheat-proof your relationship. So I definitely recommend the book, Side Chickology, Why Men and Women Cheat. It's on Amazon. Pastor Keith Battle, the author of that book, but it's been a blessing to me, and I know hundreds of other people who read it, and they've said the same thing.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And as I mentioned, every week we're going to show a self-help book to our brothers and sisters out there, just to plant some seeds and start applying it, so that way you can become a better version of yourself. So we're going to go ahead and continue to flow with the show. The next subtopic that we're going to touch on, this is very important, is, man, how do you get back in the game when someone fouls you? Well, compromise and sacrifice. So this is very critical in every relationship. So my thing is, in order for any healthy relationship to thrive, you must have two elements within your relationship. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances, you will have to negotiate or meet in the middle, or sometimes either you or your significant other must accommodate when it's appropriate if it benefits the relationship overall. Okay. So, for example, sacrifice may not be the best option, but it may strengthen the relationship depending on the situation. But at the same time, Carl and Eric, as well as others, we don't want you to sacrifice your all if you just met a brother or if you just met a sister. We're not talking about that, right? So I'm coming to my brother Carl. I'm gonna come to you first. What are your particular thoughts on this topic right here?
And it really is a difference between compromise and sacrifice. And I wrote down two quotes, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But sacrificing really, somebody's going to give up something that they don't want to, and it happens. It may be if you're the one that committed the foul, you may have to sacrifice some things. So we'll just use cheating for a situation, and it's because you're hanging around certain people or you're going certain places. You're at the club, this and that's where it's taking place. You have to give that up. You're going to have to sacrifice those things, because for the good, if you're willing to work on on your relationship, your marriage, you're going to have to sacrifice the things that have put you in a compromising position. But real quick, the two quotes I wrote down is, compromising doesn't mean that you are wrong and someone is right. It only means that you value your relationship more than your ego. The other one, a compromise is an agreement whereby both parties get what neither of them wanted. And I think the second one really goes more to what we're talking about. When you're compromising, both of you, you may not get what you want. It's just like, the judicial system. You're sitting there and the computer and the defense attorney are going back and forth trying to come up with a compromise on a plea deal. Neither one may get what they want, but it's in the best interest of his client or the court system to get something, and that's how they work through it. So both of you may not get what you want, but you're able to come to a compromise, able to refocus and do what you got to do at that point in time.
Very well said, Carl. Just to use this as an analogy, compromise, listen to my peoples out there, compromise will cost you something. And I feel that compromise is refundable, because you can always take it back and renegotiate, right? But sacrifice is not refundable. And that's why you have to analyze the situation, because that's a no refund policy. Once you sacrifice and you give your all, don't expect to renegotiate sometimes, It can happen that way. I'm coming to my brother Eric. What is your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, I want to expand on what Brother Carl said about sacrifice. Let's say, for example, the foul is cheating. The sacrifice is he's going to have to allow her space to ask questions, to express herself as far as her hurt and her pain, that was inflicted on her when he cheated. So that's the sacrifice. He has to sacrifice time. If he's on his way out to hang out with the boys and she's having a moment, because that is a that's a trigger for her. He has to close the door and come back and sacrifice that time to help her heal. Now, as far as compromise, I took some notes too. And to me, compromise is just meeting in the middle. You're coming up with a solution and you're saying, okay, well, how do we agree to just meet in the middle on this particular, and then that's communication. You keep going and going and going until you can actually come up with an arrangement where you're actually in the middle. The other part is just something that I'm learning at the age of 51, understanding love languages. What is her love language? Try to find out what her love language is. Is it words of affirmation? Is it quality time? Is it physical touch? That's part of the in my opinion, the compromise process, because you are saying that, okay, we're going to meet in the middle, but I might have to do a little bit more. Okay. And doing a little bit more is taking that time, because what I'm learning about people is people do what they want to do. They don't do what you need. You understand what I'm saying? And they want you to accept that. But it's like, no, I don't need one tire. I actually need 4. Okay. So it's like, you have to give people what they need instead of you giving them what you think they need. You understand? That question has to be asked constantly, is what do you need? Not what can I give you, but what do you need? And when you're getting that need fulfilled, you're tightening that bag and you're making sure that there's no holes coming out the bottom. So that's my little spiel on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, very well said. I mean, I just think that when it comes to both of these components, I feel like you must weigh in the depth of your relationship. So if it's a long-term or lifetime commitment, you need both. You need to compromise and sacrifice, because there will be a time and place to compromise freely and to sacrifice wisely, because the clear understanding that most people in healthy relationships get, listen, they understand that a relationship is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Because disagreements will happen. When you have two individuals with two different perspectives, somehow they must find a mutual solution to the problem. And I think, for example, I'll just bring up one of my past relationships. I can recall holding off from finishing college, and during that time, I turned down a lot of great job opportunities just to make sure that my girlfriend at the time could finish obtaining her nursing certification. And it was a whole list of other sacrifices I continued to accommodate her needs. But as the relationship further progressed, I began to resent her, because it then became a selfless and selfish relationship. But at the same time, just taking accountability on my end, I allow it. I kept on sacrificing, and there was no compromise. And that's why I state that you need two, Right. So at this, I just want to make it clear that if you're the one making all the sacrifices all the time while the other is doing nothing, then a relationship will not last. Okay.
Right.
So with that being said, we're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, that's right, our Jerry Springer moment. So sit tight. Sit tight. This is DBDS Live. We'll be right back.
So many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
And welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my brother Eric, my DBDS brother Carl. Listen, before we hit our Jerry Springer moment, this process, we need to talk about the third step. You know, we have to, because the third step is the final piece of the puzzle, right? So we're just going to get some quick 2 cents from you as well as you, Carl. So the last step to what do you do when you get filed? Refocus to win. That's the very last step. Refocus to win. All right. So I'm coming to my brother Eric. How important it is to refocus to win after you de-escalated the situation and you figure out the problem, and now you guys are both on the same wavelength. How important this is.
Right. Well, it's very important, and you have to come up with a strategy to do it. When you're trying to get back on that solid foundation, you have to have a plan of action, and part of that plan of action is you pray together. You pick a date night, you know, a night where every week, don't necessarily have to go out. You could stay and just have a Netflix night. You understand? You don't have, I mean, we should be used to that. We've been in the house for a year and a half. So that shouldn't be hard to do. Take long walks, exercise together. These are bonding times that you are creating, and be consistent with it. Be consistent with it. You know, people have to get back into the mindset of, I'm going to take care of you, you're taking care of me. You understand? And it has to be that constant thinking of each other that, again, is keeping those little holes out of the bag. And that's part of keeping those holes out of the bag, is that you have this understanding that, you know, after God, you're first in my life, I'm first in your life. You got my back, I got your back. We're not going to let anybody come in between us. So the focus has to be, you know, making sure that you're taking care of each other, which I mentioned earlier. That has to be the focus, the constant checking in. Are you good? Am I okay? Is there anything that I can do to make, you know, this or that better? Or is there anything that I'm not doing that you need more of? When you're constantly having that dialogue, I truly believe that's how a lot of people make it to 40 and 50 and 60 years of marriage, because it was that constant communication and dialogue. So those are my suggestions.
Okay. Yeah, very important. And those people that have those 40 and 50-year relationships, man, they won multiple championships back to back. They're refocused to win, man. Woo.
Yep.
Man. So I'm coming to my brother Carl, man. We de-escalated the situation, we compromised, we sacrificed. Now it's like, hey, what's this final step? Break it down to me, brother.
I agree definitely with Eric said, talk about prayer and the date nights and things like that. I also go with forgiveness. You got to forgive that person. You know, because you won't move forward without forgiveness. And you know, I know a lot of people always say, if something ends, it's like, I actually have to forgive that person. I always tell people, forgiveness is not for them, forgiveness is for you. Because that means you're releasing that negative energy, because you're forgiving that person. You know, I forgave, you know, like I said, somebody, and it took 3 years to get an apology. I mean, it's what you do, you know, but it allowed me to move on in peace in my situation. So if you're going to stay with someone and you're not willing to forgive, and you're like, well, I'll forgive them when I see what they're doing. No, that's not going to work, because that energy is going to stay within the house. So one of the key things, you got to forgive that person. Keep it moving, and you know, don't dwell on what went wrong anymore. That's one of the biggest issues that we'll have. We'll continue to dwell on what went wrong. You know, focus to win on what to do next. So whatever steps y'all took, whatever action plan y'all put in place, you know, whatever y'all decided to do, take the 2 shots, a ball, whatever it is, focus on that and not the file anymore. Because if you continue to dwell on that file, you're going to continue to bring up and keep that residue around. You want to uproot that negative root, that weed out of that situation, and just get rid of it and discard it.
Right.
Listen, you don't want to get to the point where they have to trade players, man. You don't want to go play for a different team.
Right.
So
These sports analogies is killing me, man.
Love it, man.
It's
so this
all
is
good.
where to refocus to win, man. This is where you have to reinforce that positive energy that Eric mentioned and date your significant other, because once you get past that rough patch, it makes you appreciate your man or woman even more. Because the reality is you are both on the same track team, you both have the same uniform, and you play for the same school. So as teammates, you should be working together. But listen, if you do decide to compete against each other, just make sure you're in competition as to who can show the most love and the most affection, right? Because I believe the core of every healthy relationship is when both people go there to give their all, right? So with that being said, we're going to it's time to take one last commercial break. When we come back, I promise you, my people, we will do the Jerry Springer moment. Sit tight. This is DBDS Live. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, man. So back with my brother, the author, Eric, my DBDS brother, Carl, and myself, Mel Money. And listen, we just been chopping it up and dropping gems. And to my people who tune in, if you want to rewatch the show, make sure you go to DBDS Live on YouTube. I'll go ahead and put that up on the screen right here. Go to DBDS Live on YouTube. So that way, you can get notified when we have these mature conversations. Also, if you can't catch us visually, no worries, we got you. You can listen to us on our podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. Just type in Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up, and please follow us. If you support our message for healthy relationships in our community. All right. So right now is our Jerry Springer moment. I am coming to my brother, Eric. Share your final thoughts to the people.
Well, relationships it's not easy, but if you are fully committed to somebody and that person is giving you their all, you have to respect that person and give them the same. And lopsided relationships and marriages, they just don't work. They don't work. And that's why you definitely have to have the person giving you that same positive energy that you're giving to that person. And if you're getting that, then yes, you guys can have a successful relationship. But as far as to a lot of women, you don't have to hurt in order to be loved. And what I mean by that is staying in a relationship where you are totally being disrespected over and over and over and over again, because he's not just hurting you emotionally, he's hurting you mentally. And then you'll have to also think about, as I believe it was a comment from someone about the STDs. You have to really think about that too, So to all the women that might be watching this show right now, no, you don't have to take that type of treatment. You are made in the image of God. He said that we are wonderful, wonderfully made, and you have to have that mindset. And until you get that mindset, then you're going to attract that negative energy to you, So, that's my final words.
Very well said, brother. And before I come to Carl, just tell them about your book one more time.
Oh, my book. I'm sorry. It's 10 Warning Signs. Is your date a deadbeat or deadly? And it's a domestic violence prevention book. I encourage all women out there that are single to really pick this book up, because it is a great resource to have as you're out there dating. So it's on Amazon.com.
Appreciate that, brother. Coming to you, Carl. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Just like I said, Eric said, close it out a lot. What I would say also, but just understand if you're filed in your relationship, understand the file. If it's something that's consistent, I don't care whether the man's doing it, the woman's doing it. If it's constant level of disrespect, that flagrant 2, which is automatic ejection, technical file type of files, you gotta sit that person down and tell them, this doesn't stop, we got to move on. If it continues, I'm out. Protect yourself, know your worth. I tell that everybody, know your worth. And then once y'all are willing to sit down and resolve things, and you both, the person's apologetic and you're doing things, don't dwell on it. Find a solution, work that solution out. Because only thing that's going to happen is if you continue to bring up the past and a person's not doing what they did in the past, you're going to destroy that relationship, and that person is going to start to feel like, I did all this work to get back, to work to get back to you and be in your good graces, and all you do is throw it up in my face. So, resolve the stuff the right way, understand it, move forward, and if you can't get past it, walk away, have a discussion and be real about it, and just walk away at that point in time instead of stepping out and trying to find somebody else to make you feel bad. Walk away from the relationship because maybe you can't handle being on that team anymore.
Yeah. Very well said. And the best position to be in is to walk away and mean it. That's always the best negotiation position. So before I provide you with my final thoughts, I just want to thank for you, Eric, to come onto the show, man. You've been phenomenal.
Appreciate
Thank you so much
bro.
for your wisdom. Appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.
So I just want to finish and just state my final thoughts for today's show. So, it makes no sense to be like his or her opponent if you both are in a relationship. So therefore, when there's a lack of unity, then timeout is needed so you both can go back to the drawing board to come up with a new strategy in place. That involves figuring out the issue, how to make better plays, and what methods can be applied in order for this momentum to continue to become a better team. Because the reality is, all teams go through their rough patches, but the best teams work together and not against each other in order to accomplish their goal, which boils down to maintaining a healthy relationship and passing down the blueprint to the next generation. Right? So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel and much love to the DBDS family.
Anytime.
Take it away, man.
Anytime. All right now.